I think it's really just I always thought that I was on whatever opinion I had on any topic. I always would think it's the logical, most rational opinion, and then if it's not, or if I started to have doubts on that being the case, then I would go and I would do my research on it to come to a better like conclusion, right? That's for everything: politics, how I want to live my life, religion, God, all this. But I realized that God and religion was one of the topics that I just never took the time to really think through.
Right.
It seems so taboo and so, you know, if you believe in God, you're crazy, basically, right, and delusional, and and so I started to realize I believed those things without really having a reason to believe them, and so it's just been a journey. I'm sure we'll go into it more in depth in the solo interview, inshallah. But because it would be a whole hour long.
Well, no, talk about it, because even just this morning, ironically enough, we were talking about you feeling discontentment with the Western notions of happiness.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. I think that we're fed an idea through whether we're conscious about it or not of how our life should look, what success means, what happiness is, what is the true purpose or goal, right? And I just started to realize that the Western idea of that, materialistic wealth and these types of things, it's all a scam. Like I started to realize how much of a scam it is to get people to buy into a system that really doesn't have your best interest in mind. And really you're playing a game that you're playing a game that you feel you're stuck in, and once you get in, it's very hard to get out.
Yeah.
And when you leave, when you end the game, you end with nothing. You go into your grave and you die, and that's the end.
Yeah.
Right. And that didn't necessarily plummet me into searching for religion. They were two kind of separate. They were two separate searches that were kind of happening at the same time.
Right.
I was realizing that this life, in terms of capitalism and stuff like this life didn't make sense, and then I was like, okay, well, what type of life does make sense? So anyways, I started to go through just the theories and opinions of whether God exists or not, listening to debates and reading articles and stuff. And by the end of that whole by the end of that search just on God's existence, I came out of it realizing that it's actually necessary for God to exist, for the universe to exist. And so I started basically looking at people that believed in God as delusional, and ended looking at people that didn't as delusional, and like they were trying to just hide away from reality. And so after that, I started to search through religions, kind of going through each one, poking at them, trying to disprove them. And Islam was the last one that I looked into,
Right.
and it was the only one that I couldn't. I tried so hard not to be Muslim, because I knew what it meant. I knew what it means in terms of the rules and from that side, I knew what I would have to give up, and if it was the truth, then I knew the only logical thing is to follow it exactly, right? So I tried so hard to poke holes in it, and at the end, I just basically said, look, I at this point, either I'm going to die knowing Islam is the truth and not accepting it, or I'm going to be a Muslim. SubhanAllah. So after that, it's really been like, I realized that, nothing, logically, if God is powerful over all things and knows all things, it logically makes zero sense to do anything except for what he says. So whether it's, it's SubhanAllah, this is why, to me, even obviously on a front-facing level, like me meeting Boonaa is just crazy in itself, how it happened and how we were in a completely different province than we normally are.
And by the way, we found out later on we lived 20 minutes away from each other in Toronto.
Wow.
In Toronto, yeah.
So we met in a completely different place, only to realize that we were like,
you're actually neighbors.
We're like neighbors in the same city.
Yeah, SubhanAllah. But for me especially, there's an added layer of it where I was going through a time where I was speaking to my agents about, this is happening and these are the things I can't do. And I was going through a period where I was just like, I could take this slow. Like, everybody around me is like, take it slow. Yeah, and they use the hadith like that that you were speaking about. If all the rules came down at once, then nobody would be Muslim, right?
Yeah.
And it's and so people around me were telling that, but I was like, I'm ready to do it. You know, like it doesn't make sense. Why would I do anything in any way that displeases God or transgresses His rights upon us? Can't lead to good. You know, it can't lead to objective good. Not 1%, right?
Yeah.
So then the only logical thing is to just, you know, go in the path that seems like that seems the most pleasing to Him. So, you know, making those like changes and, you know, restrictions and kind of sacrifices, I was in a state where I was like, okay, I know, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners. I don't know how long I'll have to wait. It could be a year. It could be 5 years until something works out. And subhanAllah, not even 2 months goes by after I have that conversation that I meet this guy that's like literally spoke directly to me. Like when he was speaking, hosting his event and playing his trailer, he started speaking about how he wants to, you know, create halal entertainment and alternatives and really provide a space and proper representation in the media. And I was like, that's exactly what I feel is.
And could you imagine? I had been going around saying this exact same spiel to like dozens of crowds and audiences. You know, like, oh, we need to create, you know, Muslim artistry, and we need to invest in you know films and this and that. And it felt like I was in that room. It felt like I was only talking to him.